But I want you to notice something about those two scriptures, Acts 1:6 and Acts 22:15.
我想跟你们解释一下使徒行传的1章6节，还有22章的15节。
are not invitations from Jesus to become his
那
witnesses.
这2节经文并不是说耶稣邀请我们成为他的见证。
Jesus doesn't say, "Would you like to be
耶
my
稣说
witness?"
没有说你可以成为我的见证吗？
Those sentences are not commands.
那他们也不是命
They're
令。
not commands. He doesn't say, "You should be my
耶稣没有
witness."
说你一定要成为我的见证。
What kinds of sentences are those sentences?
那这些句子是什么意思呢？
They're promises.
那么是应许。
Jesus, both of those sentences have the same kind of grammatical construction.
那么这2句话在语法上是很相似的。
And that is, they are promises. They're future
他们
indicative.
是
They're
未来
promises.
是应许的，是表达应许的意思。
Jesus is indicating what will
耶
be.
稣在预言将来要发生的事情，
So he doesn't say, "You should be."
所以他没有说你应该要去做，
He doesn't say, "I'd like you
或
to
者我
be."
想邀请你去做。
He says,
他
"You
说
will
你
be."
会成为，你会去做。
Now, for us, we are people that live in time. We have a past, a present, and a future, and those things are different
可是我
for
们
us.
人是受时间的限制的，我们无法越过过去、现在和将来。
But for God, past, present, and future are not different. They're all happening at the same
可
time.
是
to
对
him.
神来说，过去式和将来式没有什么不同，都是一样的。
That's hard for us as human beings to understand.
但是对我们人来说
It is
的
hard.
话是
It is
很
hard
难
to
去
understand.
理解的。
우리가 살아가는 건 과거 같고 현재 같고 미래가 있기 때문에 하나님을 이해하기가 쉽지가 않은 거예요.
Right? Because if I talk about something that happened in 1848, and then I talk about something that happened or is going to happen in the year 2050, those are two totally different things
当
to
我
me.
谈到1948年和2050年发生的事情的时候，是完全是没有任何关系的。
뭐 이때 일어난 거는 완전히 다른 거잖아요.
But for God, 1864, 2050, same
可是对
thing.
神来说，1960年或者是2050年都是一样的。
뭐 몇십 년하고 이거 똑같은 거예요, 하나님한테는.
So here is one way that people of faith have understood this. Let me give you an explanation to help you
那
understand.
我可以跟你们举个例子来理解这句话的意思。
제가 얘기를 말씀드릴게요.
Picture a map.
你们可以想象一个地图，
지도 사진이 있어요.
If I said, "Where's the U.S.?" You go,
如
"It's
果
right
我
here."
说美国在哪里，你可能会知道这个地方。
And if I said, "Where's Korea?" You go,
那
"Oh,
韩
it's
国
right
可能
here."
会在那个地方。
여기입니다. 그럼 확실하게 볼 수 있잖아요.
For us, that's the way that space is. We can understand two things happening, two places as being part of the same map.
这是我们的理解，我们只能在同一块地图上理解2个不同的地方发生的事情。
여기 미국, 여기 한국.
For God, time is like a map. He can see it just the same way that we can see two different countries. To him, two different times. He can see them at the same thing. There's
可
no
是对神
difference.
来说的话呢，时间就对他来说就像是地图一样，他可以看见这个地图上任何地方发生的事情。
So when Jesus says something like, "You will be my
所以
witnesses,"
当耶稣说你们要成为我的见证，
예수님, 지저스?
Yeah.
예수님께서 너희가 내 증인이 되리라라고 말씀하신 거는
it's just the same way as if you or I were looking on a map.
就跟我们看地图是一样子的。
보고 이거는 이렇고 저거는 저렇고라고 보는 거랑 똑같다는 거죠.
Does that make sense? In other words, he sees the beginning from the end and the end from the
所以
beginning.
他从过去可以看到未来，从未来可以看到过去。
처음을 다 볼 수 있는 거죠.
So the future is not a mystery to him.
所以未来对神不是一种奥秘的事情，
전혀 예수님한테는
He holds it in his hands.
未来是在他的手中，
다 보고 계세요.
To him, it's just like a map. He can see all
就
of it
像
at
一个地
once.
图一样，他可以看见全部的画面。
관념이라는 있다라는 게.
And so when Jesus says to the Apostle Paul in Acts 22:15,
所以当耶稣在使徒行传22章15节对保罗说话的时候，
22장 15절에 말씀하신 거예요.
or he says to the disciples in Acts 1:6,
或者他在使徒行传的1章6节对门徒说话的时候，
you will be my
你
witnesses.
们要成为我的见证。
증인이 되리라 이렇게 말씀하셨어요.
To him, he's saying something that simply is true. It's all on the
这
map.
是对他来说是在就像地图上发生的事情一样。
한국을 가르친 것과 마찬가지로 시간 관념도 그분한테는 똑같다는 거예요.
Now, to us as human beings, our life always seems in danger of falling apart. Everything seems so fragile.
可是我们人的生命是脆弱的，是很容易
모든 것이 막 다
破坏
무너질 것
的。
같은 거예요.
But if we could understand that God sees everything across all of time like a map, and He knows the beginning from the end, then we would understand that He holds everything in His hands
可
perfectly.
是神他是超越时间的，他把所有的事情放在他的手中，
염려하고
是完美的。
할까 뭐 이러지만 예수님한테는 지도 위에서 어떤 나라를 이렇게 명확하게 보는 것처럼 시간도 과거와 현재와 미래를 다 그렇게 명확하게 보시는 거예요.
We don't need to be afraid.
所以呢，我们不需要恐惧，
두려워할 필요가 없어요.
We don't need to wonder how things will
我
turn
们也不
out.
需要
그리고 우리가
害怕事情会发生不好的改变。
우리가 궁금해할 필요도 없어요.
Well, we have received precious promises from God, and they are
因
reliable.
为神赐给我们的应许是好的，并且是可靠的。
약속의 말씀을 갖고 있기 때문에 우리가 두려워할 필요가 없다는 거예요.
And so when we hear this word, it's not just a word to the Apostle
所以
Paul.
当我们听这节经文的时候，并不只是对保罗所说的，
바울에게만 한 것만이 아니에요.
It is a word that Jesus gives to everyone who hears it.
是耶稣赐给所有当听的人的。
듣는 모든 사람들에게 얘기한 것이고 하나님의 말씀은 하나님의 손 안에 있어요.
So because you are hearing
因
it,
为你听见了这句话，
들었잖아요, 지금.
then you know that this is the promise that Christ is
然后
making
你
to
就知道
you.
这是耶稣给你的应
때문에
许。
이거는 예수님이 여러분들에게 약속한 것이라고 믿으면 돼요.
And so Christ is not saying to you, you should be my
耶
witness.
稣并没有说你们要应该成为我的见证，
여러분한테 얘기하는 게 아니에요.
He's not saying, I'd like to invite you to be
也
my
没有说我
witness.
想邀請你成为我的见证。
초청할게 이것도 아니에요.
He's simply saying what he knows to be true in the future that we haven't yet
他只
seen.
是说出
예수님은
他所看见未来发生的事情，是我们所看不见的一些事情。
우리는 받아들이면 되는 거예요.
What he's saying is, oh, I'm going to use you as my witness.
他说：“我要使用你们成
I
为
am
我的
going to
见
use
证，
you as my witness. I'm letting you know that in the future, this is how I'm going to
在
use
未
you.
来我会告诉你我是如何使用你的。
주인이 되도록 해줄게 이거예요.
And this is what I intend to do. I intend to make you. I'm going to equip you in
这就是我要
every
做的
way
事情。
to be able to be
我
the
要
kind of witness that I'm going to use you
装
to
备你
be.
成为我的见证。
나는 예수님이 말씀하시기를 나는 너희가 가진 그런 모든 것들을 사용해서 내 증인이 될 수 있도록 내가 도와줄게 이거예요.
Now, some people, when they hear this kind of talk, they say, oh, so you're saying I don't need to do anything. I could do anything I wanted, and it's still going to work
所以
out.
有的人听见这段话会说：啊，那我什么都不用做，我可以做任何我想做的事情，反正神他会使用我。
And my response to you is
那
this.
我的回答是这样子的：
You can't imagine how God is already at work in your life, shaping these things to bring them to
你没有
pass.
你没有办法想象到神如何在你的生命中去做这些事情，直到他们成为过去式。
하나님께서 그것을 사용해서 지금 역사하시고 계세요.
So, if you went back in time to talk to Hamza when he was traveling around his country speaking as an atheist, and Jesus were to say to him, "You will be my witness," he would say, "You have no idea what you're talking
就
about."
像我们刚才讲到那个憨山这个人，他是一个无神论者，然后突然有一天，耶稣说：“你要成为我的见证。” 憨山就是说：“你不知道你在说什么，我不懂你在说什么。”
뭐 무슨 얘기를 하는 거예요? 이렇게 했을 거예요.
But notice, Jesus didn't change him, he didn't control
可
him.
是耶稣并没有去控制他，或者是去突然改变他。
그냥 그 상태에서 그냥 계셨어요.
Jesus just sees the beginning from the end from the beginning. It's all the
因为
same
耶
to
稣
him.
可以从未来看见过去，从过去看到未来。
처음 이게 똑같은 거예요.
And so what seems to us like just a coincidence or accident is actually something that God sees from the beginning.
在我们看来意外的事情，在神看来从很久他就看到了，他就知道了。
다 아시고 계시는 거예요.
So God has you exactly where He intends for you to be at this
所以
moment.
神他非常的清楚，在这一个时间段，他要让你做什么样子的人。
여러분들의 어떤 삶을 살아야 되는 건지 그거에 대해서 여러분들 하나님이 다 알고 계시고 이 자리에 계시는 거예요.
And you don't need to have anxiety about whether or not you are on the right track or equipped for what God is giving you to do.
所以你不用担心你是否得到很好的装备，或者是你是否能够被神所使用。
성장해야 되고 뭐 이거를 생각할 필요가 없어요.
God is already equipping you perfectly for what lays ahead.
神已经在装备你，按着他所有的来装备你，
성장하게끔 지금
按着你所有的来装备你。
And so becoming a witness isn't something you make yourself into.
成为见证人，并不是让你自己成为某个人，
It's something that God shapes you into through every single experience of your
而是神
life.
使用你生命中的每一个经历来去塑造你成为见证人。
여러분들을 만들어 가시면서 증인을 만드시는
So that's why we learned the song that we did this
这
week.
是为什么我们会学习这一首歌。
암송했던 외웠던 그 찬양곡이 그거예요.
The song says, "No one can stop the word of God from spreading."
这个歌说到，没有人可以拦阻神的话语被传扬，
또 막을 수가 없다는 거예요.
No one can break the power of
也没
that
有人
word.
可以拦阻神话语的能力。
할 수가 없다는 거예요.
Once Jesus says, "You will be my
所以
witness,"
当耶稣说你们要成为我的见证，
너희들은 내 증인이 되리라라고 하셨다면
that's not pressure on you where you say, "Oh, I better be a good one. I better get it right. I better."
这并不是成为你的负担，说我要做一个好人，我要
God
做
is
的很
uniquely
成功。
shaping you, just like He shaped Hamsa.
神在塑造你，就像他塑造那个憨山一样的人。
하셨듯이 여러분들도 그렇게 만들어 가시는 거예요.
And you can't imagine where you will be tomorrow.
你没有办法想象得到明天你会变成什么样子的人。
뭐를 할지 상상할 수가 없어요.
You may think you know where you'll
也
be
许你会
tomorrow.
知道你明天会去哪里，
You may have some plan in mind
你
where
也
you'll be
许会有一
tomorrow,
些明天的打
계획이
算，
있을 수도 있어요. 내일 무엇을 할 것인가?
but we simply
可
don't
是我
know.
们其实并不知道。
단순히 알지 못해요.
But God knows.
但是呢，神他知道的，
And He's using every experience you have to
他使
shape
用
you.
你所有的经历去来塑造你，
모든 것을 사용해서 만들어가고 계세요.
So that in that moment, in the right time, just as with
就
Hamsa,
像憨山一样，在
그 어떤
正确的时间的时候，
you will end up being able to do something that you look back and think, how in the world did I get to
你会
this
做一些
point?
事情，你之前从来没有想过，你从来不会做的事情。
걸어왔지 할 거예요.
And the answer is, God prepares us in ways that we can't even expect or predict or
那么我们
understand.
的答案就是神预备我们的方法是我们从没有想过的，或者是
하고 계시다.
知道过的。
삶 속에서
And all of Christian history, when we look at it, we see that the really important events that happen in Christian history are all like the story of Hamsa. You just look at them, and from a human standpoint, they make no sense.
当我们看教会历史的时候，很多的事情发生就跟憨山的经历是一样的，而这些事情从人的角度来看，好像是说不通的。
처럼 다 이 하나님이 만들어 가신 거예요.
The story of Hamsa was the story of Hamsa and a Wycliffe missionary translating the Bible for this people group.
那么刚才说的憨山和那个威克里夫圣经翻译员的故事呢？
함사하고 위클리프 선교사님이 해냈어요.
But you've heard me tell before the story of how the North Korean Bible was
那
translated.
你之前也听到我讲过北韩圣经的翻译，
성경이 어떻게 번역됐는지 아세요?
It wasn't Wycliffe that was involved in that
那并不
translation.
是威克里夫翻译的这本圣经，或者是他们的，
The North Koreans had
工作人员翻译。
executed all of the Christians. They had burned down all of the church
因为
buildings.
北韩他们处决了所有的基督徒，焚烧了所有的圣经，
살해했고요. 그다음 없애고 그다음에
They
교회도 없애버리고
destroyed all the
他们毁掉
Bibles.
所有的圣经和教堂。
없애버리고 그랬어요.
But it was only when, as the world started to ask questions and put pressure on the North Koreans to say, wait a minute, what are you doing inside North Korea? Is there religious freedom? It seems like there's
直
persecution.
到后来国际社会就质询北韩说：“哎，你们在干什么？不是说你们国家有
여기가
宗教自由的嘛？宗教自由的嘛？”
그러면서 압력을 하기 시작했어요.
It was only in an effort to deceive the world
因为他们在为了欺骗这个国际的社会，
속이기 위해서
that the North Koreans translated what today is regarded as one of the best translations of the Bible ever done into the
然后
Korean
呢，北
dialect.
韩的政府就翻译了迄今为止最好的圣经、最标准的圣经，就是北韩语的圣经，最标准的。
So that's why even to Jesus, the North Korean government will be his
所以对于耶
witnesses.
稣来说的话，哪怕是北韩的政府
For Jesus' purposes, even the
也
North
可以
Korean government will be his
为耶
witnesses.
稣做见证的。
때는 북한 정부까지도 증인이 되는 거예요.
Not because they want to be, it's not because they're trying to be
并不是因为
missionaries,
他们想要做，或者是他们要去做这样的事情，
but God uses even them, the worst persecutors in human history, to be able to be great Bible
而是神
translators.
甚至会使用人类历史上最坏的逼迫者去成为神的见证人。
나라의 정부를 사용해서 하나님이 성경을 만드신 거예요.
And you remember the story of John Ross, the person who translated the Bible into the Korean dialect first in the
你们应该还
1880s.
记得，
1880년도에
罗约翰他是第一个把北韩语圣经翻译成白话文的宣教士、传教士，
번역했어요.
That wasn't translated by Wycliffe.
也不是威克里夫圣经翻译的
번역된 게 아니에요.
翻
It
译的，
wasn't translated by a
也
government.
不是政府翻译的，
서도 아니고요.
It was translated by people with really bad character who needed money because they were
而是那
broke.
些小书贩翻译的。他们很穷，他们需要钱，
돈이 필요해서 파산했기 때문에 돈 때문에 성경을 번역한 사람들인 거예요.
And it wasn't that they became good, strong Christians and then as a result of that became Bible translators.
因此呢，他们成为了翻译圣经的人员。
열렬한 신자라서 기독교인이라서 한 것이 그렇게 뭐 성경을 뭐 이렇게 번역한 게 아닌 거예요.
It was that John Ross needed their help.
是因为当时的罗约翰需要他们的帮助，
도움이 필요했어요. 이 성경을 번역하는데.
So he asked these merchants who had lost their businesses and they had no choice but to agree to help him translate because they needed to make
新
money.
人当时他们没有别的选择，他们只好来做这样的事情而赚钱，
그냥
生活。
그냥 배가 침몰한 바람에 팔 거를 다 잊어버린 거예요. 그런 사람들 사업에 완전히 망친 그런 조선 사람들을 차용해서 돈이 정말 필요하니까 그 사람들을 사용한 거예요.
But in the process of translating the Bible, they came to know the
然
Lord.
后在翻译圣经的过程中呢，他们认识到主，
그러니까 성경 번역을 하면서 하나님을 알게 된 거예요.
And they became
他们甚至
missionaries
成为传教士，
사가 된 거예요.
and brought more than 15,000 copies of that Bible to
甚
Korea.
至带了5万多本的圣经回到朝鲜或者是北韩。
번이란 성경을 북한으로 밀수해서 들어간 것 되는 거예요.
And so we should be confident that God is so big
所以我们应该要确信神是超越的，
하는 거를 우리가 확신해야 합니다.
that He is already at work guiding all of the events that happen around
神
us.
所有的事情，我们周围发生的事情都是神所
행동과 일에 대해서
带领的，神所许可的，
역사하시고 계시고 활동하시고 계시고 책임지고 계세요.
Not just for His
不
good,
单只是为了他的
그분의 이득을
益
위해서
处，
뿐만이 아니라
but one of the promises of the Bible is that He guides all of the events for our
而
good.
是
우리의
为了
유익을
我们的益
위해서도
处。
성경 속에서 얘기하기를 우리의 유익을 위해서도 하나님이 역사하시고 계십니다.
And so that's pretty remarkable.
这是非常
놀라운
奇妙的地方。
One preacher that I heard many years ago, back in the early 1990s when I was just new as a
在
pastor.
1990年那个时候，我刚做牧师的时候呢，我听到一篇讲道，
1990년도 초반에요.
I worried about everything. I always worried when I preached. Was I preaching the right thing? Was I
我
preaching the
那
wrong
个时候很
thing?
担心自己讲的不好，或者有讲错。
모든 것에 대해서 제가 염려했어요. 뭐 내가 이거 설교를 잘하는 건가, 이걸 뭐를 해야 되나, 뭐 뭐든지 제가
Was I going to the right seminary? Was I going to the
我
wrong
会怀疑
seminary?
自己是不是进错了神学院，或者是进了好的神学院，
가야지 뭐 모든 걸 걱정했어요.
All right? Was I in the right place? Was I
或
in the
者
wrong
我来
place?
的地方是正确的还是错误的？
다른 곳에 서 있는가, 아니면은 내가 잘못 있지 않아야 될 곳에 있는가?
The pastor
然后
said,
那个牧师就说，
하나님이 저에게 어떤 말씀하셨어요?
if you could only see how well you are held in God's
如果
hand,
你知道你自己
if you could only see how well
在
you are
神的
held
手
in
中
God's hand,
是
우리가
如何的
알수
平安
있는 거는 있는가 그 안에 있는가만 우리가 볼 수 있다는 거예요.
How perfectly he holds you.
他是如何的保守你，
우리를 완전하게 잡고 있기 때문에 그거를 볼 수 있다는 거예요.
He doesn't squeeze you
他
like
没有
this.
很
그 하나님께서는
紧紧地
우리를 손 위에
抓住你。
손 안에 놓으실 때 꽉 잡지 않으세요.
His hand is not so open that sometimes you
他
fall
的手
through
也
it.
没有放得很开，然后你会掉下去。
빠지게도 안 하세요.
You're not always kind of almost falling out of his hand because of your sins and problems and lack of
你
understanding.
也没有因着你的罪或者你的过分而从他的手中滑
떨어질
落。
정도로 해서 막 받고 이런 게 아닌 거예요.
There you
你
are.
在这里，
그만큼 떨어지지 않고 뭐 이렇게 할 만큼으로 하나님이 손 안에 여러분을 갖고 계시는 거예요.
Perfectly held in his perfect
被
grasp.
非常好的保全着在他的手中。
빠지지 않도록 꽉 잡지도 않고 그렇게 잡고 계시는 거예요.
When we think like this, we don't think, oh, so it doesn't matter what I do. I can do anything. I can go anywhere and it'll all
但
work
这不
out.
能让你说我想做什么都可以，反正我是安全的，我是在神的手中有保障的。
Instead, what we think is,
我们应该另外一种去想，
어떻게 생각해야 되냐면
I can relax
我可以
그냥 우리는
放轻松，
편안하게 생각하면 돼요.
because I'm in the hands of
因为我是
God.
在神的手中。
우리는